Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's What's Up Wednesday. My name is Rachel, and I'm on the client support team here at Early Learning Ventures. And today I am joined by Virginia, who is project coordinator for the Colorado Substitute Workforce Program, which is what we're going to be sharing about today. Thank you so much for joining us today, Virginia.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, exciting. I can't wait to learn more about this amazing program and share with everybody because I know this is sort of a new thing that we've been talking about and sharing about in our monthly newsletters. Well, thank you so much to everyone who is joining us live today also, or if you are watching live, let us know where you're watching from. I think that's always so fun to see because sometimes we have people in several different states joining in, and I think this is such a great opportunity for us all to come together and hang out for a little bit. Even though we're all in totally different time zones in different parts of the US. I'm coming here joining from Phoenix, Arizona. I know Virginia, you're in a totally different time zone than me.
Yep, I'm Virginia from Virginia.
Yeah, so I think that that's awesome. We always have viewers in all different states. So let us know in the comments where you're watching from, and we can all just say hi and hang out for a little bit. If you have not heard of Early Learning Ventures before, we are a 501c3 nonprofit based out of Colorado, and our mission is to expand access to quality and affordable childcare. So I have links in the description of this video for where you can find our website to learn more about the various resources that we offer and also where you can get a free demo of our childcare management system, Alliance Core. So, one of the ways that we focus our efforts on improving the quality of early childhood programs is by providing free resources and sharing knowledge on various topics related to ECE. These What's Up Wednesday videos are one example of those resources. And so we are live every week on Wednesday at 1 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And each week we have a new guest speaker and cover a variety of topics, some of which are state specific. So we do always try to emphasize that so that there isn't any confusion. But I encourage you to stay in the loop to watch out for what our next topic will be and to just continue to join us because it's fun to see what resources are being offered in other states. And we do also have a giveaway happening right now. So while today's video is going to be on a resource that is specifically for those located in Colorado, any existing Alliance Core user can participate in this giveaway for a chance to win a scholarship to use Alliance Core completely free for an entire year. To participate, we just ask that you watch our What's Up Wednesday videos, so whether that's live or the recorded video later, and add a comment answering our question of the week, so either on Facebook or YouTube. Our question for this giveaway is what did you serve for snack today? So each comment earns you an entry. So if you are watching live or you're watching recording, you can answer and just add a comment on what you served for snack today. And each comment that you add for each week will earn you an entry. So we encourage you to keep engaging for more chances to win. You have 2 more weeks left to enter in for this giveaway before we randomly select a winner. So be sure to you can even look back at our past videos throughout the month of April to add a comment if you haven't already. This is an incredible opportunity that can save you anywhere from $300 to $1,200 a year. Carrie is saying snack hasn't happened yet. You can even let us know what you served for snack yesterday. That's okay. All right. So, for those of you who are just joining, welcome. Thank you so much. I think it'd be fun if you want to let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And Virginia said that she's coming here, joining us from Virginia. I'm in Phoenix. I love to hear where everybody's at. So, Virginia, why don't you start us off by telling us a bit about yourself and then tell us what your role is in the substitute workforce program? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I've had about 15 years of experience in early childhood and starting as a program director and for about 6 years. And then I moved into consulting/training in really focused on the business aspect of early childhood. And part of that business aspect, the organization that I worked for was also managing back office services for a shared service alliance. And through that, I really found my niche for working with technology and helping providers and early childhood organizations improve their efficiency through using technology, as well as there was a lot of focus on human resource development and workforce solutions, especially after COVID and all the staffing challenges that we've had. And through that work, I got to know Early Learning Ventures and Alliance Corps. In fact, we utilize Alliance Corps for our back office services. And then I learned about this role as a project coordinator for the substitute workforce. And so I started working, partnering with Early Learning Ventures and Colorado Department of Early Childhood, and really being, I guess, looking at all aspects of this project and helping to bring it all together to achieve the outcomes that we're looking for.
Thank you. Yeah, Virginia's been a great partner with us for a long time, and we actually got to meet in person last October at the Shared Services Conference, so that's exciting. Nice to catch up again, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Can you introduce us to the Substitute Workforce Program and tell us all about our ELV's role and the partners coming together in this program?
Yes, so the Substitute Workforce Program, it's a fund that was created by the Colorado Department of Early Childhood in with its objective was to really look at support services for the staffing challenges that providers are having. And Early Learning Ventures was chosen as the intermediary for this fund. And we're really looking at, it's no secret staffing is hard to come by. And recruitment, retention are all challenges. And then to add to that, because of the business model with early childhood, it's so narrow. And so it's not always possible, even if you can find extra staff, it's not always an option to have extra staff available to cover when teachers need time off, they have professional development, they might have an emergency where their illness, family illness. And so it presents an even bigger challenge, right? That when substitutes aren't available or an extra staff, we result to shuffling existing staff around, which then in turn causes more burnout and frustrations. And so this project really looks at how do we build this substitute pool so that we have substitutes to call on, that they are available when needed, and that we can take that burden off of the staff and the administration and really focus on the important things that need to happen and not trying to juggle everything around.
Thank you. Yeah. And just to kind of go over some of the terminology that we're going to be using today, and just so that we're all on the same page, can you tell us what is a subpool and also what is a substitute workforce agency?
Yeah, and in its simplest definition, a subpool is a group of individuals who are available, qualified, ready to work in a classroom, and can be called upon when a teacher is unavailable.
Okay.
So it's just, a group of people. And a substitute placement agency
Yeah.
is
Sorry, I said workforce. That was my mistake.
okay.
What is a substitute placement agency?
Yeah. So, and I'll give you a little bit of a history. The substitute placement agency became a license available through Department of Early Childhood back in around 2019, right before COVID. And I say it, I kind of liken it to it's exactly like a child care center without the children, because all of the requirements are the same as far as licensing requirements, qualifications for teachers. And so a placement agency takes on that burden of recruiting, training, hiring, or contracting with. They also take on that burden of making sure licensing and training requirements are up to date and on file, so that as providers need substitutes, they can call, or not necessarily call, but they can request a placement. And then the agency finds somebody that they have available and qualified for the position being requested, and then they fulfill that request.
Okay, so the agency is kind of doing all of the coordinating and all of the legwork there.
Absolutely, because I remember being a director of a center, and I would have somebody maybe that was willing to come in and substitute, but I still had to go through all the background checks and all that. And really, that emergency planning it can take time. It can take 2 or more weeks. And
Yeah.
so having somebody, another agency that's able to focus on that really takes that burden and that time off of an administrator's plate.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you mentioned, it's hard enough when you're finding yourself in need of a substitute then and yeah, it's amazing to have the support of an agency that can help.
Yeah, absolutely. And that other factor of being able to have substitutes on hand, sometimes, you can't keep them busy enough, or you can't keep you hire them, you've got them ready to go, but they want to work a few more hours or a few more days than you have available, and then you might lose them to another program or another center. This is really, and this is why Early Learning Ventures was a perfect fit for this project, because it is essentially shared services.
Yeah.
It's sharing people to fill that need that we have.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, you said that in the beginning too. It's really hard to have extra staff on hand to account for these times. I mean, very rarely, I think we all can agree on that. You get hired for a job and just kind of want to wait around for hours.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what about if someone is interested in becoming a substitute placement agency? How can they go about that? And is there a need for more agencies right now?
There's definitely a need. This project, we really kicked this project off January of this year. And right now in the state of Colorado, there's 6 licensed substitute placement agencies. And out of those 6, the majority are focused in the Denver metro area. And really looking, one of the goals of this project is to scale and reach those communities, especially the rural communities that don't have, they're struggling maybe harder than the Denver area for staffing, but they also don't have the substitutes to pull from, and they don't have that network to pull from. So we're really looking not just to build up the Denver metro area and scale that up, but also to be able to branch out into other rural areas and make sure that access is available for providers who really need it.
Okay. Okay. And now let's kind of look at the other side. I mean, part of this, but what is a substitute? Can you kind of just go over the definition of that and who can become one and how can they become one? I think we've already mentioned that there's definitely a need for substitutes there, but yeah, let's talk about the substitute.
Yeah, and really anyone who has a desire to work with children can become a substitute. There are the same background checks, so the quality does not decrease. And I think sometimes that's a misconception of substitute pool, is that there's a lack of quality, or but what I've seen is these agencies, they're an additional support for these substitutes. And so they're providing additional coaching, additional training, and they're making sure that they're ready to go out in the field. And so in about 2 weeks, somebody who has the desire to either enter the field or maybe even come in a different capacity, maybe they were teaching and they're retired. And I think it's important to point out that there isn't a specific description of a substitute. This could be a military spouse. It could be a parent who has school-aged children, is only available during certain hours of the day. It could be college students. It could be, someone who maybe is partially retired and wants to give back to their community a couple days a week or at certain hours during the day. And it could be part-time, it could be full-time. It could be someone who just enjoys a challenge and enjoys a different location. And so there's just so many different aspects that it could be a good fit for somebody in a non-traditional early childhood setting.
And maybe even kind of just someone who's interested in getting into early childhood, right? And maybe before going, headfirst into opening up your own center or starting your own family home care business, maybe this would be a good option. Become a
It
substitute.
Yeah, it could be a perfect, even to see there's different types of programs, right? Big programs,
Yeah.
small programs, Montessori programs, other traditional programs, having the ability to get exposure to all sorts of different programs and being able to develop your skill set, because these substitutes are really ready to walk in the door, and except for a few orientations at that particular program, they're ready to go.
Yeah. Can you kind of talk a little bit about the importance of substitutes and how they're making a difference? And we did talk about that there's definitely a need for it. So they're making a difference that way, but what would you add to that?
Yeah, and right now we're seeing primarily planned absences. Substitutes are covering planned absences or even staffing vacancies right now. But what we're looking forward to is providing this foundation so that substitutes can cover for maternity leave. We talk about increasing the availability of benefits in early childhood for teachers and staff. But what we don't always talk about is that, okay, great, they're available, but can we actually take the time? That's another story, right? So being able to make that space so that a substitute can come in and the administration can feel confident that, okay, I've got somebody that can cover this spot. Also for professional development, I think so often we're asking so much during the day from our teachers, and then we're asking professional development to be done in evenings, weekends, other time. And
Yeah.
so making that space for substitutes for coverage. And even we've seen that with family childcare providers being able to provide some substitute relief so that they can attend training during the day and not have to take up more of their family and home time to get that professional development.
Yeah, that's huge for someone who's running their business all on their own. How do they find time? Very little time outside of work. They have to use that for these professional development trainings often. So that's amazing.
And I think it really creates that career mentality for early
Yeah.
childhood teachers. If you
Yeah.
can offer time off or professional development and then also coverage while that happens.
What would um what would the process look like for someone who is needing a substitute, whether they are a home care provider or a center?
Yeah, and I think I actually haven't answered this question yet, but anyone who's interested in looking into becoming a placement agency or a substitute or a provider wanting to be a part of this program or to get placements through a placement agency, I would encourage them to connect with me first. They can contact me directly. I think you're going to share my contact information.
Yeah, I have your contact information in the description of this video, but let me just pull it up real quick so I can add it to the comments as well. So it's just easy to find.
Is one of the things as we're looking to over the next 2 years, we're really looking to build up this program. We've developed a sliding scale. So one of the things can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but placement agencies can often the cost can be prohibitive to many providers, especially small providers. And through this program, we're really looking to offset the cost by subsidizing, and there's a sliding scale. And so right now those subsidies are available to providers that are working directly with our 2 pilot spas. And as this program develops and we're able to expand further, then more providers will be able to get those subsidies. And the reason I'm asking them to get in contact with me is because sometimes we're getting inquiries about substitutes and providers in areas that we may not have placement agencies or substitutes. And what we're finding is there's this sweet spot of like one to be able to put a substitute in a community, we need about 5 providers that are wanting to take on these, to request placements. And
Okay.
so if we can match them, then we can either talk to organizations about becoming placement agencies, Or we can look at our existing placement agencies and see if they're willing to go in to become agencies in those communities. So there's a lot of opportunities to explore. We've had some great conversations with some of the early childhood councils and just about what does their community look like? Are there businesses? Are there existing providers that we can partner with to start developing those placement agencies and those subpools in those communities?
Okay, so that's a great place for anyone who's watching, or to, I mean, anyone, even people who are watching, to share this out with their network as well, so that we can get that traction and show that there's a need, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, we know that there's a need. We hear about staffing shortages all the time.
Yeah, and I think, it's not necessarily difficult to find the providers who want the
Yeah.
substitutes, but if we can match where we're finding substitutes with the providers who want them, then it's going to be a win for everybody.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely your contact information is in the description of the video. I added it to the comments. It looks like Ava did as well. So we've got your email out there. And then I've got a link to our flyer. I'm going to put that in the comments as well, so everybody can see that. And then I know that you mentioned we just rolled this out starting in January. So we're still very much in the early stages here. But do you have any success stories that you can share with us so far?
Yeah, we've already seen that the number of substitutes just with the two placement agencies that we're working with in the pilot has increased by 40%. And the staffing or the hours for placement hours has increased 20%. So there is a response on both sides. We are finding the substitutes. We're, partnering with and looking for other partnerships with agencies that have, a role in the recruitment of future teachers, substitute teachers. We're also, working with these communities to recruit providers. So we are seeing that there's more awareness that's happening. And, we've had these great collaborations. In the beginning, you mentioned, this does pertain to Colorado, but substitute placement and the substitute workforce is a hot topic nationwide.
Yeah.
So if you're listening from another community, another state, we're all learning from each other. And these conversations are what's building and creating the difference.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we do have viewers in Colorado right now, but we also have Hawaii. One of our partners in Hawaii is watching. Um, yeah, so definitely, I think you're right. That it just opens the door for us all to be able to have this conversation and see what others are doing as well.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I'm learning is that the solution to workforce is not a one size fits all.
Yeah,
And depending on the state, the community, you know, especially for Colorado, a placement agency doesn't have to be a big undertaking. It doesn't have to be a huge organizational effort. It can be. There are companies that are doing that alone, but it could be one provider who's really good at recruitment and training and wants to be able to have their own substitute pool, but they, that fear of not being able to support the cost or the time, they could become a placement agency pretty easily and then be able to share their substitutes with those in their community. Family childcare providers, they can band together and network together to have a mini pool of their own.
yeah,
And there's so many different options. And I think the importance is making sure we're licensed and we're doing things according to the regulations. But from there, we just need to be creative on how we work together to make this happen.
yeah. So I hope that this opens the door up for our viewers then to just reach out, and there's no bad ideas here. Just bounce feedback off of us, and yeah, definitely contact Virginia. So we shared a lot today. I hope that everybody watching has learned something new. Do you have any final thoughts to leave with us?
I don't think so. I think that we covered a lot.
Did, yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much to everybody who has joined us today. If you are an existing Alliance Core user, don't forget to add a comment with what you served for snack today. Or I did say at the beginning, if you haven't served snack yet today, you can let us know what you served yesterday. That's okay. But add a comment to be entered into the giveaway to win a 1 year free of Alliance Core scholarship. And thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the links in the description and then watch out for our future videos. And thank you so much for joining us today, Virginia.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Bye.